Բարեցեսրիհեշտայթող բարեկամներ, եթերում է AMGA հեռուստաընկերության հիմնական հաղորդաշարը։ Այս հաղորդումը պիտի շարունակեմ անգլերենով, որովհետև նպատակ ունիմ այս նյութը նաև մեր նոր սերունդին ներկայացնելու, ինչպես նաև ամերիկացիներուն, որպեսզի իմանանք թե ովքեր ենք մենք։ Բարի երեկո, սիրելի հայրենագիտներ. Dear viewers, you're watching AMGA Himnakar show. Himnakar is translated to cornerstone, the basic, because we strongly believe that a healthy family is the cornerstone of healthy society. So therefore, this program, at the beginning, we have a few announcements in Armenian, but we're going to continue in English. Սիրելի հեռուստադիտողներ, նախքան մեր այսօրվա ծրագիրը ինձ մե խնդրվեցավ, որ հետևյալ հայտարարությունները կատարեմ։ Առաջին հայտարարությունը Փասադինայի Ալեն փողոցի վրա 1060 Փասադինա, պիտի խնդրեի, որ եթե ունենք այդ ցույց տանք եւ ուրեմն ընկերային ահավասիկ կտեսնեք դուք սիրելիներ, ընկերային հանձնախումբը կհրավիրե ցես բոլորդ ազատ մուտքով Super Bowl միասին դիտելու եւ դա դեղի կունենա փետրվար 12-ին գեսորվա 12-ին սկսյալ Allen փողոցի Allen Avenue 1060 North Allen Avenue Pasadena California կհրավիրվին բոլոր երիտասարդները ովքեր որոնք կուզեն կարեջուր եւ ուրախությամբ ողջունել այս խաղերը ամերիկյան ֆուտբոլ ով որ գսիրե բոլորի համար հրավիրված եք եւ վարչության անունով կհրավիրենք ցես բոլորդ ներկա գտնվելու շնորհակալություն սիրելիներ եւ հետեւյալը Ուրեմն այսօրվա ծրագիրը ինչու կուզեմ անպայմանորեն անգլերենով անել, որովհետև ինչպես քիչ առաջ ասի արդեն երիտասարդները ներգրավել, որպես իրենք էլ հասկանան թե ովքեր են իրենք։ Նույնիսկ այս մեկը պետք է ասել, որ մենք շատ հաճախ երբ բաժակաճարեր կկարտանք, կենացներ կխմենք, մենք մեզ ոչ մեկից չենք կերատասում կարտասանենք եւ այլն եւ օտարներուն երբ որ մենք մեզ կներկայացնենք թե մենք առաջին քրիստոնյա ժողովուրդն ենք բայց դժբախտաբար քրիստոնյաներն ոչ մեկ բանը չենք գիտեր շատ հաճախ մենք օտարներուն այնպես հեկտանքով գխոսենք եւ գսենք երբ որ մենք ունեինք ոսկետարը ծեր նախնիկները Եվրոպայի մեջ Ամերիկայի մեջ ծառերում մեջ կապրեին բայց սիրելիներ մեզ շատերը նույնիսկ մեր ամենադարական պատմությունը չեն գիտեր պիտի խնդրեի եւ ես իրապես շատ շնորհակալ եմ AMGA հեռուստաընկերության այս մեր իրենց խրախուսանքին վարչական կազմին դնորենության, որ գուզե անպայման այս ուսուցողական, դասախոսական թեկուզ, եթե գուզեք ասեմ, հատուկ այս ծրագիրները դիտեք եւ եթե կարենակ մի բան սովորեք, շատ լավ կլա։ Այսօրվա վերնակիրն է ուրեմն ով ենք մենք եւ ով ենք մենք պիտի շարունակվի սիրելիներ շատ մասերով ուրեմն ով ենք մենք who we are, who we are, part 1. Առաջին հադորն է թե ովքեր ենք մենք. Այսինչու համար, so, as I promised, I have to go back and forth with Armenian and English. So this program is intended to be in English. So to somehow to show the world why it's important that we first learn who we are, where we came from, and why is it that today the geopolitical map is totally different than it used to be 200, 300 years ago. Okay, so it all started when a very good friend of mine from Italy, Alicia, and by the way, she works with a Trafalgar. If you want to go to see Italy, always look for Alicia, and you can look on the social media, Alicia Trafalgar, and she's a wonderful person, and she's going to help you put programs together, maybe personal or group, and so on. So she watched the previous program that I presented in English, and it was about the maps of Armenia through the history in the timeline prior to BC and all the way to the 16th, 17th, 18th century. The maps to show that where we were, what part of land was ours, and how the history changed it when new republics came along and claimed the land, and now they're saying that their land is theirs from the beginning, from Noah's Ark, and we are the ones who came and stole the land. You know why is this important? It is very important because if you sit down and rewrite the history, which now many people are doing, including the Azeris, because there's a very rich country. They have oil, they have gas, and therefore, especially now these days when the Russia and Ukraine war is going on, Europe has an energetic problem. So what they're doing is they're asking the dictator, Mr. Aliyev, to give them gas for heating and so on to survive this winter. So they are taking advantage to bribe the politician. This is going to be another program, actually. We have all the documents that whoever got money from the Azeri government to rewrite the history. I'm going to come back with that too. Now, let's stick together. So, going back to Alicia from Travelcar, that she was telling me there is a very, very interesting map, Armenian map from the 17th century. And why do you look into it? And this is today we're going to talk about it. Okay? So, in January 2019, with Armenia, it was a spectacular, actually, in Metropolitan Museum. There was this show called Armenia, and in the show, this Tabula Choreografica Armenica. I would like to show you the first picture. Please watch this. And this is the one. Among many artifacts, Armenian artifacts, this map was very, very central, and everybody really liked to look at it. So this map was created by two remarkable players in the dynamic political and cultural arena of the late 16th century. First, the Eremia Çelebi, the Gamursian. He was an Armenian intellectual, poet, and historian, and also an Italian, Luigi Ferdinando Marsili, who was a scientist and cartographer, as well as an Italian diplomat and a military man. These two men met in 1691 during the wars between the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, Habsburgs, and Ottoman Empire. And this is the story of this map, that it was created then. The Tabula Choreographica Armenica that we see now in the middle here in this picture was commissioned by Count Marsili, an Italian nobleman who lived a life worthy of action movie. So he liked to study and learn about different cultures, different nations, and so on. So Marsili was sent to Constantinople in 1691, a moment when Vienna had opened peace talks with the Ottomans as part of the Austro-Turkish conflict. Don't forget, in 1683, the Ottoman Empire came and besieged Vienna for the second time. Kara Mustafa, the Grand Vizier, promised Sultan to besiege Vienna and to put where the St. Stephen Cathedral is, on the top of the St. Stephen Cathedral tower, instead of the cross, he's going to take it away, and he was going to put the half moon with the star as a symbol of the Islam. So thankfully, with the help of many Christian army soldiers and kings, especially the Polish king, Johann or John Sobieski III, who came to help the German/Austrian army against the Turks. There, from Poland, were Armenian volunteers who came to help the Austrians to fight back the Turks. So during this time, the Tabula Choreographica Armenica, that it was commissioned by the Count Marsili, so it really made, it was the 33-year-old aristocratic second visit to the city, which he had seen 11 years before as a members of the situation between the Austrians and Turks. So in this whole issue, this map that we're going to see, the second picture of it, it's very important. It's a huge map, almost 1.5 meter wide, and almost, I would say, 6.5 meter long. See how long this is? And please stay with this picture. Thank you. So this map was produced by, as I mentioned before, Eremia Çelebi Commission. So the secretary of the Armenian Patriarchate of Constantinople and one of the key personalities in Istanbul's Armenian community. A prominent figure in Armenian historiography, he promoted the establishment of the second Armenian printing house in Istanbul and left behind a great literary heritage, including historical geographical works, topographical works such as this map, and dogmatic polemic textures, as well as letters, lamentation, and verses and books. So this Tabula Choreographica Armenica, that it was printed in 1691 in Constantinople, it is actually printed on a paper, but it was tempered on a temper. So, and now you can find it in Università del Bologna in Italy. So in the University of Bologna, Italy, when you visit, ask for this Tabula Choreographica Armenica, because where in January 2019, the Metropolitan Museum was showing the Armenian artifact with this map. Believe it or not, it was a great sensation, and many people were looking trying to visit. And the reason that I am asking you to go ahead with now let's see closely, segment by segment, to this map, which is very important because this is a luxurious, large map, the expensive of the Armenian Church in the late 17th century, and it was illustrated. And here is the key word that I would like to bring it to your attention. Please don't move this. Here on the green, you see the Mount Ararat. And very closely that you can see in the middle where people, priests are sitting around. It is the Katholikosed of Echmiadzin, the Holy See of Echmiadzin of the Armenian Church. And next to it is the Cathedral of Gandzasar, which today is in Artsakh, which now people calling Nagorno-Karabakh. It made up by the Stalin and the Soviet Union, and prior to that by the Russians and the Turks calling Artsakh Nagorno-Karabakh. Karabakh means in Turkish black, dark fields, because they had the trees. There are so many that from far away you don't see the end of that woods. So it's a dark woods. So here again you can see Katholikosed of Echmiadzin, Gandzasar, Akhtamar, and Cilicia. Okay? And the Patriarchate of Jerusalem and Constantinople. Also depicted are important churches and sites in the Ottoman Empire, all the way from Nishapur, the location of the martyrdom of the Nirvanidank, and the churches and monastery of Crimea. So here you see so many churches that today, sadly, is by the Turks transformed, refurbished to mosques. But, you know, another prayer for the Islams. But sadly, not all churches were transferred to be mosques, but it was stalls for horses and sheep and cows. So here I like to go back in one striking scene. You're gonna see priests and men in contemporary Ottoman dress can be seen conversing in front of the Echmiadzin Cathedral. The inspiration of explain the history of the cathedral establishment in the 4th century by the Saint Gregory the Illuminator, as recounted by the Armenian historian Agadangelos. So, and again, it's very essential that 4th century to the 17th century, nothing is changed, and there is no way to be seen the word Azerbaijan, Azeris, Tatars, or Turks. This came way, way much later. Stalin, almost the father of the Soviet Union, in 1920, between 21 and 23, he created the Azerbaijani land, and he gave the Armenian land, what we call it Artsakh today, gave to Azeris. And sadly, because the Azeris, they have money, oil, gas, as I said in the beginning, they were bribing the politician of European Union, and they can rewrite the history, sadly. So let's go back in another scene. This is another scene. Let's say this is the cathedral of the Echmiadzin. Let's go to another one. Okay, here. In the other, Saint Gregory the Illuminator is the one with the long hair, with the long beard, okay, who is wearing casual mush costume. He's not wearing the traditional priest or bishop clothing, but he's wearing this casual mush and symbols resembling in his hand. Those are the lollipops. Resembling the lollipops, are called tugs. So these tugs indicating the importance of the city, the Ottoman court. The town of Mush has 2 tugs, as you see, the kind of lollipops, and the Erzurum has 3, indicating the towns of relative ranking in the Ottoman sphere. So again, here what you see is in the map where Saint Gregory holding incense, and in front of him is a demon where he is somehow chasing away the demons from the cities and the churches and cathedrals of the Armenia. So again, let me go back to the very first picture where this importance of this map, because this map was disappeared just few years after Marcelli returned from Constantinople to Bologna. The Count probably first displayed it in the library of the Istituzione delle Scienze, and in 1712 he donated to the university along with other travel mementos. From then on, the whereabouts were unknown to the scholars who sought to consult it. As a result, Armenologists first began to look for it in Vienna, since it was known that Marcelli had spent time there. Only in 1991, 300 years after this creation, did Gabriella Ulahogian, a professor of the Armenian studies at the University of Bologna, located this map in the collection of the Biblioteca Universitaria. Since its discovery in the university library, the map has been published, reproduced and facsimile, and occasionally enrolled for scholars to examine. We had the privilege to admire it in 2019 when it was brought to Metropolitan Museum here in this picture you can see. And on the first day of the exhibit Armenia, when it opened, almost 3,000 people visited the gallery. Many of them visitors were of the Armenian descent. They pored over the map to identify villages, cities, monasteries, and churches inhabited or frequently inhabited by their ancestors. As they gazed at the map, there was a bridge was built between the world 300 years in the past and today. Now, why is this so important, my dear friends? It's very important to learn your history. If you are proud to say, I am the first nation, Christian nation to be, a nation to acknowledge Christianity in 301, which is actually historically proven. And in 1991, all the way then, it was celebrated in 2001. and it was celebrated in Rome by His Holiness, the Pope. And in 2015, on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, there was this huge events going on all over the world, especially also in Vatican. Don't you think we, Armenians, we need to know our history? Because first we have to learn our history, and we have to teach our coming generation where we came from, what part of the land was ours, is ours, even though it was stolen from us, taken by war, by power. In 2020, September 27, for 44 days, more than 5,000 young soldiers died for the homeland, for that land, where Azeris, with the help of their brother, big brother Erdogan, Turkey, and Syrian ISIS terrorists, and also there were also terrorists from Pakistan. When you have money, when you have power, now these days, sadly, you can buy everything. You can destroy the truth, like many cross stones were destroyed on the border of Armenia and Iran. Sadly, you can buy people with money. But if you really know your history, and you know where you came from, and you know your roots, those are the important elements that no money can destroy it. Because after all, after 300 years, the map shows very clearly that this land belonged to the Armenians. So therefore, my dear viewers, this is how I am concluding today's episode, meaning know who you are, հայերենով շատ կարևոր է, որ գիտնանք ով ենք մենք, սովորենք մեր պատմությունը, իմանանք մեր հայրենիքը, իմանանք թե մենք որտեղից ենք, ինչ ենք, եւ երբ որ բաժակաճար կկարդանք, եւ երբ որ կարտասանենք, մենք մեզ ոչ մեկից չենք կերատասում, բայց մեզ էլ գիտենք մեզ հայ են ասում, իմանանք թե ինչ կնշանակե հայ ըլլալը, միայն խոսքով չէ, այլ գործով, այլ հայրենիքին օգնելով, չմոռանալով մեր հողերը, մեր պատմությունը, մեր ներկա հայրենիքի իրավիճակին, աս անելի վիճակեն դուրս բերելու համար, մենք մեր բոլորի պարտականությունն է աշխարհացրիվ հայության, Արցախի մեջ, հայրենիքի մեջ, Սփյուռքի մեջ, ամեն մեկ հայու ջիդի բարտկն է հայրենիքին օգնելու։ Սիրելի հեռուստայտող բարեկամներ, ես այսպեսով կավարտեմ իմ այսօրվա ելույթը, կցանկանամ ձեզ բոլորիդ բարի աշխատանք, բարի կյանք, մեր մայր հայրենիքին պայծառ երկինք եւ կանաչ ճանապարհ։ Ցտեսություն։